All right, guys, welcome to the Best Life podcast. And I'm going to actually have to majorly hold myself back today because there's so much, so many questions that I have for this amazing woman who is my guest today. This is Tori. Let me know if I say Mistick.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, Mistick.
Yeah.
And she
like
is
a witch.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And she is the founder of Wear, Wag, Repeat. And it is a dog mom, collaboration store, like stores for dog, what's it called? A curative store. Sorry, thank you. Of all dog mom products. Definitely check it out. Wear, Wag, Repeat, because you wear it, they wag their tails and you repeat. And she is also, she runs a podcast, and the number one thing that I'm first going to talk to her about today and pick her brain for today, he's already bored.
Something is happening at my front door right now. Hey guys, everyone was sitting here so peacefully. Okay, sorry. Can you wait 1 second?
Yeah,
okay.
It's okay.
Let's see.
What up, guys? Just chilling. All
right, FedEx problems.
You're fine. You're fine. It's like seeing Snoop Dogg. I'm like, yeah. But yes. So I'm gonna pick her brain a lot, and the number one thing that I really want to talk to her about with you guys today is that she helps other women who want to start small businesses, or dog related or pet related or petpreneur, I believe is what the term is. She offers advice and guidance, and I'm gonna have her explain everything else to you. Her podcast is about that too, and I'm gonna have her introduce her podcast name because I'm sorry, blanking on it right now. So, guys, say hello to Tori.
Hello. It's very easy. Everything is just wear, wag, repeat. So it's the same name for everything.
That makes it easy.
Yes.
So oh gosh, I have so many questions jumping to my brain. Explain kind of briefly what you offer for women who want to start businesses.
Yeah, sure. So I started my blog, Wear, Wag, Repeat, about 9 years ago. And when I started it, it was really just a hobby blog about my life and my life with my dogs and DIYs and recipes. And it was all over the place. And I quickly discovered within the first year or so, this community of dog bloggers online, and they were so just welcoming and nice and encouraging and commented on my stuff. And I was making friends with people in the dog blogging world, which I didn't even know was a thing when I started my blog. Prior to that, I'd had a fashion blog, and I used to be really into fashion. And what I discovered was the fashion bloggers weren't really rushing to my site to leave supportive and encouraging comments as much as the dog bloggers were. And so I just discovered this amazing world of people online. And I had been working at that time. I had my own business doing social media consulting. And so I was working with local businesses here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and helping them grow their, at the time, Facebook groups or Facebook pages were the big thing. And some of them, I was growing their Facebook page from 0 to 30,000 fans. And I was like, wait a second, I should probably put some of this effort on my own stuff, into my own stuff, and grow my own following. And why am I not doing that? So I started growing.
Curse of a marketer.
I started growing Wear, Wag, Repeats stuff, and Instagram was new, at the time. And I was, using that to kind of grow my following, and that started exploding. And I was quickly at 5,000 followers, and then 10,000 followers, and 25,000 followers. And people started asking me, how do you do that? And so that's kind of when I started helping other people turn their passion for their dog into kind of a side hustle and then into like their main job, which is what I have done. And so I started years ago teaching people how to grow their pet's Instagram account. And then in the pandemic, I started hosting some workshops and webinars about other online marketing techniques that you can do to grow your pet business or your pet's Instagram account, like having an email list or having an online store with print on demand products, or selling your own courses and your own coaching and all that kind of stuff. And so here I am today, and that's actually kind of taken over as the main thing that I do, which is help other women with their, maybe come up with an idea for what they want to do in the pet industry, or to grow their existing pet industry business through online marketing strategies.
That's so awesome. And so do you offer like courses or one-on-one, like kind of all of the above?
Yeah. So I started my first course maybe like 5 or 6 years ago about the Instagram for your pet account. And I don't offer that anymore because Instagram's just changed so much. And that course from 5 years ago, like I was looking through it, and I was surprised. Like recently I was looking at it. I was like, this is all like still really relevant, but
Mhm.
the screenshots are out of date. Like the app looks totally different than it did in like the examples I had.
Oh my gosh, so
Um,
different.
yeah, but like the main kind of strategy is the same, which is just, following the golden rule, like putting out there what you want to receive. And so anyhow, so that course has kind of been shuttered. I have two other courses, one about Pinterest and one about starting an on-demand online store using like print on demand products. And then I also do one-on-one coaching, and I have a membership community of people.
That's so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
and like what's really neat is and like you're kind of like one of the OGs of it, you know?
I know. Well, that's a nice
Like
way of putting it. I always think I'm like the grandma of things. um,
it's OG,
because
it's
like,
OG.
yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for so long, and like that's kind of the cool thing about the pandemic. Or not the cool thing about the pandemic, but like just in the last two
Yeah,
years, so many people got dogs. So many people have started new Instagram accounts. Whereas it's something that I felt I was kind of losing steam or losing interest. There's all these people who it's brand new to them and they're super excited about it. And that's kind of like relighting my passion for all of it too.
it's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, yeah, yeah, you've said it perfectly. It's everybody's coming back and it's all new to them. And I even have friends who are like, oh, what hashtag should I use? What do that? And you know, it's so strange because it's one of those like it's so simple, it's difficult.
Hmm.
Like it's so like three things: consistency, like put out there what you would in, and value. And like, but even for me, like, to be honest, like with Best Life, I go into like this like I don't know anything, even
Yeah.
though, but for other people, that's where you're like, yeah, it's the curse of the marketer. For other people, I'm like shouting out ideas. I'm like, oh yeah, do this, and like all these content ideas. And then, I go to sit down and write my email and I'm like,
I know. I'm always like, you guys need to batch your content, schedule it out. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to post today?
yeah, I write emails like same day. It's so like
Hmm. But
say
I like
like
your emails. I think when you write it, I mean, of course you can write something the same day and then schedule it, I guess, for later. But when you're writing it in the moment, I think it just sounds more authentic and more you. Like your emails that I've seen are just like really real.
yeah.
And I like
Yours
that.
are too. I like yours too. The dog. I ordered one of the dog wicket
Ah,
sticky notes.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's pouring down rain here today. So we just had another lick mat little activity before I hit record here. Those lick mats, yeah, they're awesome. I need to,
Game
speaking of like
changer.
not planning ahead, um, that's something that I never plan ahead for the lick mats because you can put them in the freezer and make them last longer. Well, I'm always like the lick mat's always a thing I grab where I'm like, I need to distract the dogs right now. So one day I'll make a frozen lick mat. I don't know when.
I actually ended up ordering, like when I first had breakfast, like 5 or 6 Kongs. And my rationale behind it was I'll always have, like, I'll rotate them. But then I just ended up having like 6 non-frozen peanut butter Kongs in the cabinet. I'm like, oh, well, there goes that. Yeah. So like,
I know.
it
I
was,
go through
yeah,
phases, like,
same.
especially because I have 2 dogs. So 6 Kongs is gone in 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
It is harder with 2
um,
dogs. It's like,
yeah.
yeah. But okay, that's, we're kind of like go off on tangents. That's amazing. And so what would you say anyone who's kind of watching this because they saw, hey, advice on how to start a pet related small business. And so pet related small business, kind of explain, like, let them know what sort of options there are. Because I feel like a lot of people think, I have to design a product, or I have to do this, or I have to sell something. But there's so, like, off the top of your head, just list a few options or ideas that people could take into consideration.
Yeah. Well, there's so many things you can do. Like you mentioned, I have my podcast, and on it, I interview exclusively women in the pet industry. And I'm at episode 217 or something like that. And so you can only imagine, like, that's a lot of people to have interviewed, and their businesses are like all over the place. And that's what I think is so cool to me. So just, right off the top of my head, there's, being a groomer, or a dog walker, or a pet sitter. Those are kind of things that come to mind first when people think about working with dogs. And those are all really great careers. And there's the demand for dog walkers and dog groomers is very high right now. So it's a good industry to get into. But then there's also other things, like you could be making dog treats. You could be making dog products. If you sew, you can make bandanas and things like that. And you can do it at a small scale, or you can grow it into a huge business. I think a lot of people hesitate to get into stuff because they're like, well, I'm never going to be the best at this, but that's okay. You can still do something on a smaller scale. You can keep your day job and do something on the side. There's just like a million options. um,
Yes.
there's also people who are pet photographers and pet portrait artists. There are even, it doesn't even have to be with dogs. There are people who do all kinds of stuff around cats. There's cat adventure bloggers out there who are doing like cat adventure meetups. There's so many different things. There's also now like canine nutritionists. I've interviewed animal communicators. There's just so many people out there. I think there are even therapists who specialize in grief from pet loss. I mean, anything that you're interested in, there's a way to make it related to pets.
That's awesome. And I was about to ask, like, the top 3 advice that you would give someone who is, interested in doing a pet related business, and she's just kind of like, oh, where do I begin? Or, what are 3 things I should remember? What are the, like, right away, 3 things they need to know or to
Yeah.
keep in mind?
Well, so first of all, I would have an open mind, and kind of like, don't be so hard on yourself with whatever your idea is, because like I said, I mean, there's a million things out there, but there's a million leash companies. You have an amazing leash company. There's a lot of dog bloggers, and there's a lot of dog Instagrammers, and here I am, I have a whole business around it. So whatever it is that you want to do, there's a really good chance that somebody else is doing it. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, because however you're going to approach it, it's going to be like your own spin on it. You're going to bring your own personality. You might have a different like reason behind why you're doing something that makes you unique. It's different from other people. There's just so many ways to kind of make it different and make it you. And I think that's why, it's really, really important, speaking from like a marketing perspective, to put like your own personality into stuff. I think people are afraid to
Put
do
themselves out
that.
there.
Yeah. And I can't tell you how many brands I look at. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they'd be good on my podcast. And I go to their website and I cannot find anywhere on their website a mention of who the actual human being is behind this brand, let alone if it's a man or a woman. And I only interview women on my show. And so if I can't even find who you are, then I'm probably not going to reach out. And so, that's a whole other, I mean, you don't have to be on my podcast to be successful, but put yourself into your branding, like put your story, put the reason why you're doing this, share your struggles and share your successes with people and kind of just tell them who the real person is behind the brand. I think that's just so important. If you're like a huge Star Wars fan, talk about that in your marketing. Whatever it is that you love, just kind of work that into your branding or kind of the idea for whatever your business is. So I know that wasn't really like one reason. That was kind of all over the place.
I love it though. It was so much gold. That was so much like, I'm like having to like hold myself back because I'm like not want to make like dumb faces. And I'm like, oh man, this is like such good stuff right now, guys. Like write this down, pause it, write something. Like listen to this woman. So smart. And
I'm not the most organized speaker. I'm a little all over the place. But yeah, so that would be like
an entrepreneur thing though.
Yeah,
Like,
I think so.
Everyone that I've talked to, like other like female entrepreneurs, whether they're pet or not, like we end up talking forever.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it's
we're like multi-passionate entrepreneurs, like the term I like, but if you're passionate about anything, like it's easy to be passionate about anything, and like I could just go off on any topic. So let's call that part one. And then like part two of the advice would be to stick with it. Like I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I mean, 9 years is a long time in this world. Some people have family businesses for like 100 years. I don't know if Wear Wag Repeat is going to be like that, but stick with it, and there's going to definitely be hard years when you have your own business. There's going to be some years where you don't make any money, but don't give up on it. You have to find other ways to make it work. And I think that what we've seen in the past couple of years is that people can be really resourceful. People can figure out how to pick up gig work or offer services and make extra cash or cut back on your expenses. We all know how to do that now. So there's really nothing.
Cool, you can work from home for so many options. And so then
there's nothing stopping you. Mm-hmm. There's nothing stopping you from going after your dream now because, you can figure it out. We all know we can do hard things, so you can figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't know Buddha was behind me and he didn't know it. So I was like, oh, sorry. I love that. That is so like, and it's so true. It's not easy. And I like how you said it. It's 9 years in this industry is a long time, because the reason she says that is unfortunately a lot stopped. I can't even tell you how many like dog toys that I bought from, small businesses that I went to go find it because, actually my last dog before Mr. Breakfast, her name is Tori. And so when I saw him, I was like, and it was a toy that I got for her and I loved it. It lasted this long and she was a boxer. I had Mr. Breakfast and we had a little,
oh my gosh, my sister has a boxer.
Oh, I love boxers.
Yeah. We're very connected.
I know. What a girl, what a bestie. And also here's another thing, guys, like make friends. That would like make friends. I was a little shy, introverted at first because I thought like, I don't know anything about business. Like I didn't know what scalability meant. I didn't know like what a marketing plan was. I didn't know there was a difference between digital marketing. I knew
nothing. Yeah.
And it's all like, it's not simple, but it is in a way.
Well, and you can figure it all out if you want to.
Yeah.
And making friends and just asking for help. Like the whole reason why I even do what I do now is because 9 years ago, the dog bloggers were nice to me.
That's so cool.
And that's really the
Shout
whole
out to you
reason.
guys out there.
I know. That's like really the whole reason why I went down this path. And I, even like now, 9 years later, people are just so friendly. There's relationships that I've built with people who, they offer courses or coaching or programs or whatever around whatever it is that they do. And they're like, "Oh, Tori, I'll help you out because you helped me out with something else a while ago." And, it's just, it really shows that like building relationships with people, even there's so many people I've never met in person. Everyone's online now. I have besties all over the world, who are happy to help me with whatever kind of question I have, which is really
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Like make friends, ask for help. Cause I always thought I want to ask for help because I don't want to be that like, oh, here's this like, I used to think like all entrepreneurs had like business degrees and like they knew what they were doing. And now you get into this world and you're like, dude, nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably the majority don't.
Nobody knows what they're doing.
I went to school for marketing, but I didn't study business, and I didn't really know how to do like any of my accounting until like 2 years ago. So,
YouTube, like quick books.
yeah, like how do you spell quick again?
Yeah, is it with a C or without? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think I remember the first time I talked to went to like a pet conference, met somebody, and she had started pretty big like dog brand that was mostly like through retail and everything, which is such a cool idea, like the wholesale, and really got herself established there. And I was just so impressed by her. And I was like, oh man, like, and she's the one who said, like, make friends, ask for help, ask questions. Like, I'm sitting here right in front of you. We just happen to sit at the same table for lunch. Ask me some damn questions, And I was like, oh, I don't want to bother people. Everybody knows what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing. And I'll never forget, she laughed and like threw her head back. And it was such like a real laugh, like just like a,
Yeah.
I don't know, just, and she goes, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. And I was just like, and she's running a 7-figure-a-year business.
Mhm.
It's awesome. It was like, oh, cool. And she goes, none of us know what we're doing. Nobody knows if there's the right way or the wrong way. She goes, you do it your way and it'll work for you. It won't work for others. And that's okay. And I think that when you said to put you into it, to put what you're passionate about, you know, I base my business off of leashes and collars and symbol for rescue dogs, but like I write emails about spaghetti and, you know, the Netflix documentary called Bright Colors. Yeah, it's just like, just talk to people and you'd be really surprised to how, many people welcome you and enjoy you and look forward to hearing from you. And so,
Right.
I think you put everything really beautifully, like very perfectly, to just stick in there, be yourself, find your passion. Because when it's your passion and you love it, it'll be hard, but not as hard.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if you're not passionate about it, you will quit. So
Thank
many
you.
people, have quit.
Yeah.
And you know, so you just have to make sure that like there's a reason behind it. And like, even though I'm passionate about what I do, sometimes I get distracted and I get burnt out and I'm like, why am I doing this? And I have to kind of sit down and get centered and go back and remember, oh yeah, it's because, I've had dogs for 20 years. And on my blog, I like to share all the things that I do with my dogs. Anything you can do with your dog, I like to try it. And so then I can blog about it and I can tell other people, and maybe they'll like to do one of those things, or maybe they'll like to do all of those things. I don't know.
And it might
But
inspire a business.
yeah. And it's just putting it out there, because, there's so many things I've discovered doing with my dogs that have made our lives better. And in 20 years of having 5 different Labradors, the dogs that I have now, I feel like we have such a tight bond because we do so many things and activities, and even just like making a lick mat and stuff that didn't really exist or I didn't know about with my previous dogs. And that's my like why. That's why I do what I do, so that maybe somebody else will get a small little idea to do some of the things I've done, and they'll have a better relationship with their dog. So
That's
yeah.
cool. That's awesome. That's really cool. And you can tell like it was real. I liked that. That was good. I like felt good. And I love one thing I kind of like popped up in my mind just right now. So of course I have to voice it. I love how you've evolved
Mhm.
from where you started. And I think that's another hard thing that I've had to that was probably the hardest thing that I had to embrace, because I'm like, we started so long ago. It's going in our like second year. It's been 2 years,
But you've done a
little over
lot
two
in 2
years.
years.
Thank you. But yeah, it's just we started one way and then we're here now, and I can see that we're beginning to evolve again.
Mhm.
And I almost feel like, wait, I haven't like uninstalled how it used to be yet. like, like I'm
Yeah.
still uploading the new and like uninstalling the old software.
Yeah. I like
But
that.
and it's just, yeah, like you said, like breathe. And sometimes like I took yesterday off
Mhm.
completely, straight up, stayed in my pajamas, laid on the couch and watched Vanderpump Rules. My dog had a licky mat and I licked the peanut butter off the spoon like next to him on the
Yeah.
floor. Like those
Yeah.
are some days. And I think that's the beauty of doing the whole business thing when you can't do it full time. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is you can sit there and do that. So I feel like that's
Right.
kind of those little things to hold on to and remember. Um,
'Cause there's plenty of days where I'm working until, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, or working on the weekends. And so some days I just take completely off, or sometimes I just take 2 hours to go take the dogs hiking instead of walking around the neighborhood. And it's really great to be able to have that kind of freedom. I could never go back to any other lifestyle.
Can you imagine being in an office all day? Like,
No. No.
I don't see it. Like, I don't see people doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's already been some companies, I don't know which ones, that they tried to say, we're going to do the office thing. And everybody like started jumping ship to the companies that were like, we won't, come on, we'll stay remote. I think it's great. It's overhead that businesses don't need. It's cars that don't have to be on the road. We don't have to be away from our home, our families. There's some downsides,
Yeah.
definitely. Some people thrive, and I think it's going to be like a choice thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know where I just went off on a tangent on that. I apologize, but
Well, I've worked from home. Like, so even before I did Wear, Wag, Repeat, I had a social media business of my own. And so I've been working from home for like, I don't know, 13 or 14 years. And, I used to go out to like a lot of events and networking things and that kind of stuff. And then now I don't do really any of that. And I'm totally fine. I'm very happy. Like, I'm okay being by myself. So yeah, I think you have to kind of find what works for you. And I found, kind of like to tie it into work a little bit, with my online shop, when I first started it, I was carrying inventory here at my house from a bunch of different vendors, and shipping it out and all that kind of stuff. And so I had the inventory, and I started doing some pop-up shops and things like that. And just recently, like, there were no pop-ups for like a year and a half or 2 years, right, during COVID. But just recently people are like, "Oh, do you want to do this pop-up?" And I'm like, "You know what? No, I really don't want to do that."
awesome. That's
Schlepping all
awesome.
that stuff, setting it all up, talking, being so nice to people who are like walking by your table and making faces. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. So I just decided, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to focus on my print on demand shirts and other items, which I really love.
Yeah.
And then I have a few items I carry in inventory here at my house. But just like simplifying it, and just giving myself like permission to say, I don't want to do the pop-up. You don't have to do a pop-up event in order to be successful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We went through a similar kind of thing, like before COVID. And even we had a couple of events, let's say like last year. Yeah, about a year after everything. And they're like the kind of like Barks and Brews. And like we have fun. Yeah, we have always have friends that come. And plus it's really cool to see dogs walking by with stripes that, didn't buy them that day, they bought them before, and you're kind of like, hey, but we've cracked down on what events we're going to do because
Mhm.
and as much as I love talking to people and going, and we usually go and whatever sales we make that day, whatever rescue partner is hosting or referred us to that, we all the sales that from that day are donations towards them. I love doing that, but there's been some where it's like there's nobody here.
Yeah, and
And it
you're
sucks
still
because it's not their
exhausted,
fault. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's still like, we have to lug
And
and
then you're
as
tired the next day and maybe even the day after that, and it's just throws you
yeah.
off. Yeah.
And so I like how you said you gave yourself permission. I kind of gave myself permission to like decline. Thank you,
Yeah.
but no, we can't. Unfortunately, we've figured out where our geographic areas are that we do well, where we don't. So I feel like, there's the pains that you go through, and I'm still not really letting go of a lot of stuff yet, but I'm still very green. So it's kind of
Well,
cool
that's the
hearing
thing,
the two
like, yeah, I
perspectives.
try everything, try it. I mean, believe me, like any idea that just like happens to float by my head, I'm like, let's go try that. So I am very much like squirrel brain. And so because of that, I've just tried so many things. And now I can say, you know what? I didn't like that.
Figured it out.
Or this thing didn't really work. I think it would be better if I focused my time on XYZ.
Yeah, that's cool. And
Mhm.
that's that nice evolving of it gets not easier, but kind of like more customized, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Man. Okay. I'm gonna like take up your entire day if we just keep talking. Like I'm not holding back. I have to like, I'll have to do another episode or something. That's so cool. And also I just want to say real quick, guys, I listened to some podcast episodes. There is content gold on there. It's so great hearing so many different perspectives of how people like handle some things or the ideas or how they see things. Like you said, like, yeah, there are a lot of leash companies, but it's like, hey, let's put our twist on it. Let's put
Mhm.
our story to it. Let's put why we make these colors or this design, or, I mean, sorry, I can't do the symbol for rescue dogs, but um, put your spin on it, do your own thing. And it's really cool hearing how all these women on there did that and are doing that. And I highly recommend it. It's become one of my favorite podcasts. And I'm not normally like a huge business like podcast person, but it's not really business. It's like connecting. It's cool. You do an awesome
Yeah.
job. You
Thank
guys do
you.
an
Well, we
awesome
talk
job.
we talk business and pets, mostly
Yes.
dogs. And so, there are most of the episodes are geared towards, people who want to start a pet business or have one already. But there are a few in there that definitely appeal more to like a pet parent. I was just doing a blog post and like linking to this one. With a pet nutritionist, and she was kind of on the advisory board for this like bully stick holder toy thing, because she was seeing that a lot of dogs were choking when they got to the end of the bully stick and there was just a little bit left. So she got involved and they made this like holder thing that you kind of like screw it in, and it's like this big thing and the dogs can put their paws on it, and it holds the bully stick in place until, and then I don't really know what you do when it gets down to the very bottom, but you take it away from them. um,
No
but
choking though.
yeah,
That's really cool.
that's the goal, because a lot of dogs are choking on stuff. So I have people like that on there too that are giving advice, like for pet parents, but it just so happens they're involved in like the creation of the product. So we also talk a little bit about business.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's like this conversation, we talking about dogs and we're talking about work stuff. And if you were to just have like kind of a like informal coffee speed dating kind of day with other women petpreneurs, that's what it would be like.
I love it. I mean, it's kind of funny that you say coffee because I was sitting outside with my earbuds in. I was like, I'm like laughing to myself. I'm like, oh gosh, that's too funny. I'm thinking like, I need friends, like, like in person.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I can
it was
relate to
too,
that. Yeah.
yeah, like, all my best friends are far away. Not just kidding, guys. I have local ones here. I love you guys. Um, like my two local friends here. But speaking of dogs, it's a good little segue. I want to hear about the new sport that you and your dogs have picked up because it's so cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to know like where did that come from? What
Uh-huh.
brought that on? And where can someone get involved?
Okay. So, what you're referring to is a little sport that we call barn hunt. And like to backtrack, before I even knew barn hunt existed, I rescued Bert when he was like 6 or 7, and he's 10 now. So I've had him for like 3.5 years, something like that. And Bert is a very unique dog, and he has a very strong sense of smell. He's like a big 80-pound chocolate Labrador. And he's just the cutest, sweetest boy. We call him Bert the Flirt. He's just so sweet. He like anyone he meets, he's just gazes into their eyes and like rubs up against them. And he's just like so sweet. But he's just a goofy lab. He's getting into trouble all the time. And so he's got a very powerful nose. And I discovered this because we hike a lot in the woods, in areas where we can be off leash. And he would go off and come back, or I would have to go find him. And he would have like a whole like leg of a deer. Like sometimes mostly just the bones. Like it wasn't too gross. I mean, it's gross, but there was a couple times when I was like, this is really disgusting. I won't tell you about that. But he was finding things like all the time. Like we would go on a walk and I'd be like, what are you doing? And he'd be like, oh, I'm just chewing. I just found this like bone. I'm just chewing this bone. And like he just was finding things all the time. And like I said, I've had dogs for 20 years and I never had a dog who did this before. So I'm like, he's just got this amazing nose. And with Lucy, my other dog, we had kind of done some scent work training with her where you can we did some like classes where they had like these little vials with birch scent in it. Is kind of like a common scent to use for that kind of training.
You said Bert. I was like, huh. Like
birch. And birch, it's actually kind of like minty. I was very surprised at what it smelled like. But it's kind of minty. And so you put this little scent in this little vial, and you do a bunch of training with them, but then eventually you put that little vial in like a cardboard box, and you line up a bunch of boxes and they have to pick which box has the scent in it. Right. So I was doing that with Lucy. So I kind of knew a little bit about like scent work stuff. And then I can't remember how I learned about it, probably on Instagram. And I discovered Barn Hunt. And how Barn Hunt works is they have a like it's usually indoors. I guess maybe sometimes it's outdoors. But they have like this little like pen kind of, and in there they set up these straw bales. So they're like stacked up bales of straw, and hidden amongst these is these little plastic tubes that have air holes and stuff in them, and they're safe and everyone's happy. And inside is a live rat.
I was waiting for you to get to that part. You know, I'm like so giddy. I'm like, like
And when I first started getting into this, and I would like tell people about it, and then I would get to that part, and it'd be like, "Oh, like what is wrong with you?"
yeah, I have a friend who's like really into like small mammals, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Isn't that cool?" She was like, "I said no," because I told her they just like
they're
put a rat
safe.
in the hay, and the dog went to go find it, and she was like, "What?" I was like, "No, he's in a little."
Yeah. They're in a container. They actually, the people who run this sport, there's different clubs in different cities. So you just have to go to barnhunt.com, or it's like barnhuntassociation.com or something like that. And you can find a club in your area. And it's still like relatively new and not that common. So like the close, we have to drive an hour to do this. Like anytime we've ever done it, we have to drive an hour to do it. Because it seems to be more rural kind of activity than in the
I
city.
didn't think that there was going to be one here in San Diego, and apparently there
I bet you there is. Yeah. So through Barn Hunt, I like follow the Barn Hunt hashtag on Instagram, and I
is.
have met like all these other, like it's not that common, I don't think, for like big dogs to do it, because part of it is also, so I don't know. There's so many rules to barn hunt. It is like unbelievable how many rules there are, and they're very, very specific.
Like what
And
kind of, like what rule, like what
most of them are like on the handler, like on
okay.
you. The dog is supposed to just kind of go in there and like do their instinctual thing, like sniff out this rat and find it. Um, but the dog has to kind of communicate to you, because this tube with the rat is like really hidden. And so you can't see it unless your dog kind of like digs up the straw and reveals it. You really can't see it. And
They're
so
like working.
yeah. And so you and your dog really you have to know like your dog's tell, like what's their like sign that they have found it. And so like, I'm like a professional athlete. Like we have to like rewatch our tape afterward to like analyze what has happened. Like, cause sometimes when you're in it, you're like
You don't
I'm
see it.
too focused on like not messing up and not breaking. Like some of the rules are you can't touch like anything. So if you're a handler, like you should pretty much just have your hands behind your back, because if you touch anything, you get disqualified.
I'd be
Until
disqualified all the
yeah,
time.
until your dog finds the tube, and then you yell rat, and the judge will say like either yes or no. And if it was correct, you pick it up and you have to hand it to them.
And the
And
rats, I mean, are they like pet rats or?
so yeah, so whoever is like in charge of this whatever club you end up going to, they're probably the people who keep the rats. And I've seen the different venues that we go to. They have kind of like a room with cages where the rats are, and I've gone in and seen them, and they're just like these cute little guys, and they're just like,
Rats
they're
are
like
so
kind of
cute.
crawling up on the side, and like they're very friendly and very cute. They're not like I've seen rats like crawling out of dumpsters in downtown, and it's not like that.
Oh, I just remembered of like the first I think it was like the first month I was here in San Diego. I was downtown and I made a friend. So we of course like went to Gaslamp, went out drinking. And we were walking back to her place because she lived downtown. And no lie, like it was like a cartoon of like when the rats just run and there's like so many of them that you don't see your feet. Yeah. And the thing is that I'm not a critter. Like I love critters. I mean, Kevin, like I have to feed him the super worms and the bugs
But
and stuff like that.
urban critters is very different.
Like, whoa, like it just kind of makes you do that. Like, and we like froze. And of course we had like little sandals and stuff on. So I'm thinking like, they scratched me, they bit me, I have rabies, I have whatever rat scratch. I don't know. Like, and we looked down and it's like they were like we looked around and they're just gone. That's creepy in and of
Creepy.
itself. But yeah, I know what you mean. They were all kind of like mangy looking and stuff. But no, pet
Yeah.
rats are really
But these,
smart and
yeah, and
cute.
these ones in barn hunt, like honestly, they're just, you can't really see in the tube, but
Hmm.
like from what I can tell, they're in there just like chilling. Like
They're
they're
probably used to
not,
dogs, like pet dogs or something. Like,
yeah, and they're not being terrorized by this at all. They're the safety and the happiness of the rats is very, very important to everyone there. One of the rules is when you pick up the tube, you have to keep it exactly level. If you turn it one way or the other, you're disqualified.
oh wow,
So
okay, cool.
that shows you like it's really important that the rats are handled well. So anyhow, got bird into
Cool.
this sport. We started doing it in 2021. So we've been
Because he
doing
was
it.
smelling stuff. How did you learn about it? Like, I'm so curious. Like,
You know what? I think now that I'm talking about it, I think it was my friend Jen Soto Longo. She has a blog called Long Haul Trekkers, and she lives in the Pacific Northwest, and she took her dog to a barn hunt, like clinic or something,
okay.
up there in, I guess, like Oregon. And, I think she posted about it on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, I have to do that. And
That'd be
that's
so
kind of,
cool.
that's how I got into it. And now, I mean, we're like really into it. Bert, there's lots of different levels that you can go to. So Bert, he got his like, instinct title was like his first one. And then he has his novice title, but it took us a year to do that. Um, you know, if we could probably have gone to more trials, but it's just, they're not super close to us. So I only go, a couple times a year. So it took us a year to get that. But now the side of my refrigerator is covered in ribbons from this
I was
activity.
about to ask if they give ribbons. Do they have like
Yeah.
teams, or is it more like is it like wrestling? It's a team, but you like wrestle individually. Do they have like teams?
No, it's all individual. There are some people who have multiple dogs, and they like, usually the trials are like 2 or 3 days long. And so some people come in their RV with their like 5 dogs, and they just run dogs all weekend, and they're really into it. I drive up for like the morning, and Bird does it like 2 or 3 times, and then we leave.
Like, hey, this is Bert with your coffee. That's awesome.
But like at the last one, so one time he peed in the ring, and of course we got disqualified for that. And
You gotta go.
especially like a boy dog, and like the straw, like it comes from like a farm. Like who knows what it smells like. So that was not good. But everyone, I kind of got the vibe that like everyone's dog had done that at some time or another.
I mean, there's a reason that he did it that one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So it wasn't, things happen, wasn't a reason to like give up. But we got disqualified for that round. And so then like the next trial I went to, I didn't give Bert very much water to drink, because I was like, you are not going to pee. And
he's like, I'm just kidding.
By the third one, he was like, I'm so tired. I'm so thirsty. And I was like, well, maybe next time I'll give you a small sip, just a tiny bit.
Trial and errors of dog moms. That's too funny.
Yeah. But again, like everyone there is so friendly and welcoming, and just dog people are the best people.
They really are. They really are. That's so cool. And like, that's just like, I love how you're just like, we're gonna try this.
Well, and also he's freaking like 10 years old. And he's
that's even
tall, he's a big boy. And they have to go through there's a tunnel in the course. They have to do a tunnel. And that took a long time of training. I built like I don't have straw because I live in the city. But I kind of like put all my outdoor furniture, and I like made a tunnel with like the cushions. It was like a couch fort, basically.
Yeah.
I made like an outside couch fort, and we just trained in that to get Bert to go through this like makeshift tunnel. Now he loves the tunnel too much. And when we go to the competitions, he's like in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm like, we're here to find the rat. You got to focus, man. So it's been really interesting, but it's been really fun. And the other kind of cool thing about it is the first time I went, I asked my dad, I was like, do you want to come with me to this thing? Because it's out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what to expect, and I just want someone to come with me. And so my dad came with me, and now it's become like the thing that we do together. So my dad comes to all of Bert's competitions.
Oh, cool. He's like, that's my grandson.
Yeah. And he videos it all for us. And it's become just really fun for everyone.
That's so awesome. I will say that doing a sport that is just for fun with your dog
Hmm.
is like, that was probably the best thing I've ever done with breakfast. We did surfing, like dog surfing.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
we're
something that we
not,
don't have access to
yeah,
here.
it was kind of one of those like, I live in Southern California now. I got this dog. Um, yeah, let's try it out. I have never surfed. I don't
So you guys were
particularly like the
learning
ocean.
learning it together. You're both beginners.
It was, but I loved going in the ocean to go
Yeah.
surf with him. Like I loved it so much, And so like it was, we weren't good. We were, we were so bad. And I should say like he did a great job. He learned how to like, but I did not get the timing right to push it and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the competitions are so much fun. And so that's so cool that like your dad
Yeah.
goes with you and like you make a little community of friends and stuff like that. So, I mean, people look up Barn Hunt and your city name and I say, go for it. Just
It's
go
so
for
fun.
it.
Yeah. And like there, you can go and just do a clinic, which is just like a class basically. And I highly recommend that because then usually the instructor, she'll let your dog like go up. You don't have to follow any of the rules basically when it's a
Cool.
clinic. She'll explain the rules to you, but you can mess up. Um, And yeah, and then if there aren't any clinics, like we didn't go to a class, we just went straight to a competition.
Same.
I was like, yeah, we're gonna be awesome with this.
Do this.
Uh,
Birkin smells so good.
got a great nose. I think we're just gonna be naturals. But since then I have had the chance to go to a clinic. It's just there wasn't one available when I wanted to do it. And I was like, I want to do this right this second.
Yeah.
Um and it's fun. It's all fun. The clinic's kind of fun because you don't have to follow the rules. You can just kind of learn and have fun. But yeah, I would highly recommend that you guys look it up. And it's just it's a weird, very weird hobby to have, but it's really fun and it's something that it's just cool to see your dog doing something that you don't understand because like you couldn't sniff out the rat, but they can. And it's very neat.
That's cool. That's so cool. Yeah. I'm sitting here looking at it and it's like an hour away from us, but I'm thinking, oh, breakfast and Buddha. I'm like, what am I? Breakfast would eat the hay. Like he would give no shits about finding a rat. He'd be like, a what? Okay, well, this stuff is pretty good. And then he would pee everywhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like Buddha might really, really, really enjoy it. So we're
It's
gonna
fun,
have to go check it
it's
out.
just a fun little morning.
Yeah.
Just try it
And
out.
guys, remember if you do a sport with your dog, you don't have to be good. Like I feel like a
No.
lot of people like they'll ask me like, oh, you know, especially because like Mr. Breakfast Instagram got kind of big from his surfing, his features and stuff because he's just so cute, little, and he's one of the few deaf dogs in the world that did surfing. And so I sometimes would
That's so
forget
cool.
that,
Yeah.
he did that. So I'm like, dude, that's really cool. He was so brave. I'm so
Like
proud
a
of him. But
little hippo on a surfboard.
he did, he looked like one of his little life jacket. I had to put like extra foam in it because he would still sink because it like wouldn't like he's so like and like I put him in the water the first time, thankfully not the ocean, and he was just like I was like, oh my God, swim. And he was just like over, so I was like, all right, we have to stuff that with some padding.
Well, but Bert hates swimming. He hates when I first adopted him, he didn't even like touching, like he drinks so much water, but he hated touching water. He wouldn't put his feet in the water. Like the trail that we go to, there's a creek that goes through it that you have to cross. And he would like figure out a way to leap over the entire thing so he wouldn't have to touch it. It was like floor is lava to him. And he's not a swimming dog. And my other dog, Lucy, I think she's got gills under her fur. Like, she just would be in the water all the time if she could. And so we do stand-up paddle boarding, which is not surfing, but boarding.
It's pretty close. Yeah.
And that's like, she loves it. And Bert hates it. I've tried to get him to do it. I'm like, you could just stay on the board. You don't have to go in the water.
Stay here. Yeah.
but inevitably, like we all fall in, and it's just, and Bert's like, I hate this. And so that's another reason why I got him into barn hunt. And Lucy does not do barn hunt. Because I wanted him to have his own
Cool.
hobby that was only his.
That's him at like Bert and Mommy time, That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we started doing like backyard agility in the backyard. And yeah, you can buy like the agility sets online and stuff like
Yes. Yeah.
that. And Buddha is like really fast, he does the course like pew pew pew. And we're kind of like, oh man, maybe we should like, sign him up and have him go do some things, and then like I was like, oh, you think breakfast would do it? And I have to guide him with a treat. Like the
Hmm.
videos of me, it's like literally me holding a treat like the whole time, and he just follows it. But they really started to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And my one friend was like, and like she was meant very well by it. She was like, I looked it up. Like you can this trainer, you could do this and you can like win. I was like, we don't have to like we're not doing this to win. We're just doing it to like,
Yeah.
have fun. So like I love that, initially you're just like, screw it, we're just going in for fun. There's no competition behind it. It's just letting the dog go for it. And that's kind
Yeah.
of how I felt about it with surfing too, is we look a hot mess out there. I'm being beat up by the waves because I don't know how to swim in the ocean. And, breakfast is off somewhere and there's these dudes having to come and pick both of us up and, like help us out. And I couldn't put him on the board. Like we're a hot mess. But like the whole time, he's like, ha, 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 like we're just having fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, check out, there's dock diving too. I've seen
Dock
some people doing
diving.
that.
There's a place near us that has like an indoor dock diving pool for
Yeah.
the dogs. And it's also like about an hour away. But I took Lucy there one time, like last December, because it gets really cold here. And last December, you could sign up for like private act, like you could have the pool all to yourself for like an hour or something. So I like rented the pool for Lucy for an hour just so she could just dock dive just
She's
for
like,
fun and just swim. Cause she just likes to be in the water that much. So
oh,
like, that's another thing you can do for fun. There's an agility place. There's a bunch of agility places near us that are indoors. So like
mhm.
on a rainy day, that's just like a fun
Yeah,
thing to go do. And it's
yeah,
like, you don't have to win anything. It's just like a fun thing to do.
yeah. And like I said, they have like the at-home courses. I know some like a lot of people don't have yards, but they have you heard of this app called Sniff Spot?
Yeah, I just heard about this.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
our my friend, never met her, but her dogs Rex and Haru, she does sniff spots with them, and you know you could tell they just have so much fun exploring something new, and like having fun with that, and it's just like, even if it's not a competition, like we did, buy the agility sets. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but the boys have so much fun, that bond, with
Mhm.
us. We're running around and stuff like that. And we even Buddha is kind of like a human little child. So like I even like ran the course with them and he was looking
Yeah.
around like, like they love it. So dog parents, if you're watching this, that would be, I think, Tori and I's number one advice
And
is
it tires them out,
do a
like,
sport. Yeah, do an
yeah,
activity. And maybe
just
even if like
something.
I used to take like treats or food, freeze dried things, and hide them in a room and
Mhm.
then have breakfast, go find them. So like there's so many little maybe that's a business idea, make dog games.
Mhm.
There you go, guys. You can take that and run with it.
Yeah, you should do it.
Okay.
We'll buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would buy the dog games, like indoor dog
Yeah.
games, outdoor dog games. That sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Lucy recently, she she's loves learning tricks and stuff. And so our latest trick we're working on is leg weave, which is hard because I'm like 5'3" and they're big Labradors. But she's getting really good at her little leg weave trick. And it's just something that like you can just see like their eyes light up like way more than taking a walk around the block. Like
Yeah.
it's way more fun and I think more tiring for you and for them than walking around the block. And so we would rather do leg weave for 10 minutes than go for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah. You would love Carrie's page. Oh my gosh, I should know. Rex and Rue, I think is if you look them up on Instagram, guys,
Yeah.
Rex and Rue. She does like really cool training things. She learns a trick, and
Yeah.
her dogs can do so. They can do leg weave, they can do like dance move. They can the one I saw most recently is like they're sitting on they like pivot or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just little things. It's not any purpose for it, but you can just tell like they love it and it makes the
Mm-hmm.
bond closer to you. And, even listen, if I can get breakfast, Mr. Breakfast, who is deaf, stubborn, not interested in anything really but food and belly rubs, if I can get him to do a full agility course and get really excited about the agility course, you can get your dog to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, no, like he loves it.
Yeah.
And we don't learn tricks, but we try. And so,
Yes.
even
Yeah.
like if they don't learn the trick, it's just the fun and being
Yeah.
like, let's see if we can do this, like that's definitely depends on the dog's personality, but
When
just
you see so many people who are like, my dog just would rather sit on the couch. My dog doesn't want to do that. I'm like, well, maybe they wouldn't want to do agility. Maybe they wouldn't want to do barn hunt and they wouldn't want to surf, but like, there's something out there. There's something out there that they would
um,
really like. And,
to do
I
with
think,
you, like,
yeah. And I
yeah,
think everyone should put the time and effort into finding what it is because it's doesn't have to be expensive or complicated or take a long time. You could do something for 10 or 15 minutes. And that's going to just, our dogs, they spend so much time just like indoors, just kind of like twiddling their thumbs. So spend 10 or 15 minutes just like doing something that's like really, really fun.
yes, yeah. In fact, we even take a blanket and like put treats in there and like wrap it up and
Yeah.
throw it on the floor.
We've tried that. We have like I have all these old towels. When my mom moved, she gave me like she got new towels for her new place. And so she gave me all her old ones. And I see all these people like, we just roll up our treats and put them in the towel. Well, when I did that with my dogs, you end up with like towel streamers because they shred them and rip them apart. Like we're not normal over here. Uh
Yeah,
when my
yeah,
dogs do puzzles, it is like the most intense, like I'm going to destroy this thing.
yeah. We can't. Buddha does puzzles and Buddha does the blanket. It's
Yeah.
just he's so smart. Like, and he's observant. He watches
Yes.
everything that I do. Like I'll be like, doing something, I hit my thumb or something, like, ah, damn it. And he's like,
Oh,
oh, I'm okay. Like I just it's so strange a little
yeah.
bit. But anyway, I love him.
I know.
But
Well, with Lucy and Bert, I'm like, you guys, like you could unroll the towel. You don't have to go through the towel to get to the
and
tree.
Buddha's the type that looks at it and he kind of like maneuvers it to like unroll it. Like he
Yeah.
does the problem solving. I got
Patient.
breakfast a puzzle and it was supposed to be, it was one of the like pretty expensive, like hard plastic, like turns, doors,
Hmm.
all sorts of stuff. And I gave it to him and I was like, here you go, buddy. And I was so excited. And he kind of like started with it a little bit. You could see his brain working. And then he just kind of looked at it and stepped back, picked it up and slammed it on the floor. Like, and then he just threw it against the wall and the food went everywhere. And then he was like, "Hmm." And he like ate it all. I was like,
Solved the puzzle, mom.
okay, so no puzzles for breakfast. Like breakfast gets like his dad solving puzzles and he's like frustrated. So I was like, no more. No
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, even guys, even little things like that. I even took solo cups one time. I took three of them and I put
Hmm.
a treat under one and like move them around, and make the dog like choose it. So yeah, those are a lot of games that you can do. But I'm gonna wrap this up because I feel like I didn't take up your
We could just
entire
go on
time.
and on. Hide and seek's another one that we like to do.
Oh,
Um,
hide and seek is good.
and
It's actually
it's
breakfast likes tag, and
yeah.
it's
Oh,
weird.
yeah. We did tag like outside last summer because I trained them to like touch like their nose to my hand. So I would like run and be like touch, and but inside, like I'll probably go do this right now because it's still raining. I'll tell them to stay in their place, which is their dog beds down in the like front room of my house, and then I'll come upstairs and I have to like tiptoe and hide, and I'll hide like behind a door like in my bedroom, and I'll see them, like, they'll come in the room, they'll like look around and then they'll like run out. And I'm like, I could see you. Like, I'm right here.
Like, can't you smell me? Like,
And I think it's because like we're in my house. So like
mm,
you can probably smell me everywhere,
yeah, it's very true. I never thought of that. That's very like intuitive.
and
That's
probably
cool.
the bedroom is probably hard because like the bed is there, probably smells a lot like me. And so yeah, that is a hilarious game to play with the dogs.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, very, very, very good ideas. I love it. Okay. I am gonna let you go because I'll just, like I said, just keep going. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I will definitely bring Tori back. Don't worry, guys. And again, wear, wag, repeat. And I believe they can access your like online courses and coaching sessions and things like that too, right, Tori?
Yeah, if you go to wearwagrepeat.com, you'll find the blog, the podcast, the courses, and you can learn more about Bert and Lucy.
Cool. Perfect. I'm gonna have Chad put that like thing right there. It'll be right. Like I'm holding it. I try to do that
Perfect.
TikTok thing like they do, but I'm just like not coordinated enough. So
What
Chad,
if we like snap and then
I know, like
and then our outfits change?
one day I'll be able to do some cool TikTok stuff. Right now, I just like do voiceovers of breakfast, like asking weird questions, and maybe one day. Your reels are cute too, though. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have her handles put right here and right here. It is gonna be Tori's personal page, which hilarious content. I
Thank you.
love watching you and your dogs interact and just everything. Definitely worth a follow. And then of course we're gonna repeat, follow that as well. Subscribe to her podcast. Where can we find your podcast?
On any podcast app, you can even ask Siri or Alexa to play the Wear Wag Repeat podcast.
Oh, I love it. All
Fancy.
right, cool. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on here, Tori, and talking with me today. I am so glad that we connected through the Ultimate giveaway recently.
Yes.
And definitely plan on doing more collaborations and things with you in the future. And hey, friendship is awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Dog moms are in it together.
Yes. And so guys, if you are thinking about starting or if you're a man, that's okay too.
Yes.
Reach out to me. Maybe I don't have as good advice.
Yeah,
For
men are allowed.
Yeah.
You just have to be super nice to all the women.
And ladies, if you are thinking of starting a pet small business or any like an Instagram, anything, that's your girl to reach out to. And we will see you guys again soon for the next episode. Have a good day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.